Hey guys, it's Tom Box. Thanks for tuning to MST.TV. And today we're going to be talking about the most frequent misplays / illegal plays of, I guess now it's March of 2020. Side note, for those of you guys wondering why am I always wearing a jacket these days, well, it's because I'm trying to be more suave. No, it's because I just forgot to do my laundry for a very long time. And yeah, cut me some slack, guys. I'm trying to work on like 4 different things all at the same time, and just laundry wasn't a priority. But speaking of like this jacket, this was from Big Boy Tom. I'm talking like 50 pounds heavier Tom, and I lost that weight like nothing. It's like just executing a guard dragon combo or executing a 3-axis dragon link combo. It's just that easy. Just need a tutorial video from Tom Box giving you that easy 50 pounds combo, and you'll lose it all right away. Who wouldn't want that video? But anyways, let's jump back into this video where we're talking about the common misplays. We've got some illegal OTKs, illegal activations, actually more illegal activations, and even some stuff that's a bit more controversial, but let's talk about it. To have a little fun with this video, one of these I'm personally guilty of, so I'm actually putting myself on the spot. I'll let you guys guess which one it is, and I'll reveal it at the end of each ruling. So starting off with the illegal OTK, Dark Ruler No More. Please do not scoop when someone plays Dark Ruler No More. Yeah, your board can be completely trash, but if your opponent makes Boral Sword and attack you, you just let them overcommit. And yeah, it's because a lot of people forget about the lingering part of Dark Ruler No More. We're just gonna bring up the Dark Ruler No More text, read it to you guys once, just so that everyone should not be just auto scooping when you see a Boral Sword come through. In fact, that's a big misplay on their part. So Dark Ruler No More text states, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. Also, for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, your opponent takes no damage. Your opponent takes no damage. Your opponent takes no damage. Neither player can activate monster effects in response to this card's activation. Did you hear the part where I stuttered? I don't think I stuttered through this, but yeah, your opponent takes no damage. So if your opponent continues to make a Boral Sword, then that would be the misplay. The illegal play would be them trying to deal damage to you, even though you're not supposed to take damage. And the scrubby play would be you scooping it up because you completely forgot about the your opponent takes no damage part. Now that I've grind that into your head, no one should be scooping to this card ever. At least you shouldn't. Now, I don't know about your opponent because maybe they didn't see this video and completely forgot that they don't take no damage. Anyways, I think I've emphasized the point enough, and the person that's guilty of this is not me, but it was Nishi. Nishi kept on making Boral Sword after he played Dark Ruler No More. You make a giant board, you get overexcited, you play Dark Ruler No More, and you think that you break the board and then you kill your opponent, but the kill your opponent part doesn't exactly exist, and that's why decks like Luna Lights can always come back because like, oh, you take no damage, and then you've committed a Boral Sword, and then they make their Boral Sword and somehow OTK you, counter OTK you. So yeah, that's the illegal OTK. Don't scoop, don't auto scoop anyways, Dark Ruler No More unless you know that you have no comeback. The next most misplayed card I would say is Psyframe Lord Lambda, and it's thanks to its second effect. And for those of you guys who have not played against a Luna Light deck, then that means you probably haven't seen it as often. Some of you guys are like, what, Psyframe Lambda has a second effect? I thought it just lets you use Psyframe cards from your hand while you control a monster. Yes, that's true, but it has a second effect. If a psychic monster gets banished face up on the field while this card is on the field, well, you get to, during the end phase, add a copy of a Psyframe card from your deck to your hand. Anyways, let's read into this card text and figure out why people are arguing. Reading into the card text, 2 monsters accept tokens, so make sure you don't use an Nibiru token to make a Lambda. That's illegal. And next, we have, you can activate the effects of Siphon Gear monsters in your hand even while you control monsters. Now, if a face-up psychic monster you control is banished face-up while you control this monster, except during the damage step, you can activate this effect. During the end phase of this turn, add 1 Psyframe card from your deck to your hand, and you can only use this effect of Psyframe Lord Lambda once per turn. Okay. Keep note of the punctuation of the problem-solving card text and with the actual trigger timing of this card. So since if you banish a psychic monster and when that chain completely resolves, that's when you activate Cyframe Lord Lambda, and it's basically a lingering effect until the end, and you complete the resolution of this card, or rather, it's already resolved. You complete the effect of the card the moment you hit end phase, and then you add the card. It doesn't activate again during end phase. It has already successfully activated and resolved, and you will add during the end phase. And the misplays that are coming would be this. You activated the Lambda during the proper phase, but then during the end phase, you completely forget to add the card, and that's fault on both players because it's up to both players to maintain game state. Both players get PE minors, procedural error minor, if that does occur. The second thing would be people thinking that it activates during the end phase. It's probably because how it's worded. During the end phase of this turn, add one Cyframe card from your deck to your hand. Yeah, that line there threw a lot of people off. It's probably because they're not familiar with problem-solving card text. So I would be a bit more patient with these people. But in any case, if you miss it, you miss it. Like, the judge will definitely not side with you if you're not unclear. And what's causing argument is because people are just saying, oh, I obviously activated it. Well, obviously I did not hear that you activated it. So yeah, if I was a judge, I would still side with the other guy because you weren't clear. Like, clarity is very important. The communication between you and your opponent, maintaining game state, is all about the communication. So make sure that that's good so that you don't have to deal with, well, yelling at your opponent saying that you get the gamma. Remember, every negate counts. That's how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is played at the competitive level anyway. And was it I who misplayed with the Cyframe Lord Lambda? It was not. I'm sorry. Your princess is in another castle. Okay, this next illegal play, I'm gonna have you guys decipher what's wrong with. I'll deliver you guys the scenarios. So my opponent is playing 3-axis Dragon Link, and they go ahead and make the Curious combo, which leaves the board with Curious and an Ebon Angel on the field so that they can link off into an Appaloosa later on. However, my opponent sends into the graveyard a trap card, Imperial Order. And then they links off into Nightmare Griffin, activating Nightmare Griffin, discarding a card, and resetting that Imperial Order. What is wrong with this picture? And if you guys guess, wait a minute, doesn't Nightmare Griffin force all special summon monsters to be linked in order to activate their effect? And if you guess that, you're correct. Nightmare Griffin trips over himself. If you read the card text of Nightmare Griffin, if this card is link summoned, you can discard one card, then target one spell and trap in your graveyard, set it to your field. But it cannot be activated this turn, and if this card was co-linked, when it was activated, you can draw one card. You can only use this effect of Nightmare Griffin once per turn. Special summon monsters on the field cannot activate their effects unless they are linked. They don't have to be co-linked, they just have to be linked. And the reason for this misplay is because of where that floodgating is actually positioned. If you just read the first half of the card text, you'd be like, oh yeah, discard a card, set a spell and trap from my graveyard. Yeah, that sounds great and fun, but a special summon monsters on the field cannot activate their effects unless they're linked. That's a continuous effect that's applied constantly, and it also applies to Nightmare Griffin himself. That just completely locks you out from using your own effects. So in other words, Nightmare Griffin has to work with another monster. And considering that most of the time, whenever someone makes the Nightmare Griffin play, it is typically turn one. First of all, don't make Nightmare Griffin right away. You can actually make it during the after the Appaloosa part. And the other deck that would typically use Nightmare Griffin, I would say, is Spirals. They have the capacity to do so. They have the capacity to go into 3 darks, into the Curious, send whatever that they want, whatever floodgate that they want, and reset it onto the field, and finish with a sleeper board as well. That is something that they are also capable of. So I guess there's 2 decks that can possibly make this potential misplay and make sure that things are linked. That's really, really important. And yeah. So who is guilty? Am I guilty of this play? And if you guys guessed that it was me, congratulations, you're right. I actually made this one. It was so embarrassing. And it's just, it happens to the best of us. And I haven't played with Nightmare Griffin in a very, very long time. And I got a healthy reminder by people laughing at me all the time whenever I made this one. So yeah, probably not gonna live this one down just yet. Anyways, we got a couple more rulings, and then we got one that is TCG NA exclusive. TCG North America except Mexico exclusive. This next one is shoutouts to Nash for DMing me on Discord. Check out the Discord, join the Discord so that if you want your rulings answered, go to the tournament ruling down there, or go to the Ruling Zone Discord server where they've got a ton of experts there. Just be polite and ask your question giving all the context. And so for this one, we're talking about Lost Wind and Salamangreat Roar. Both of these cards, they reset themselves onto the field under a very specific condition. And once they're reset, they also have a clause that says, banish this card when it leaves the field. So what happens when a card that negates the activation happens? Remember, if a spell or trap card gets their activation negated, they're technically not, leaving from the field to the graveyard. That's the key point that I would like to make here. They're not technically leaving from the field to the graveyard. Why is that? Well, consider the precedent of if you negate the activation of a True Draco spell, they do not get to pop your spells in the back row. They will not target a spell and trap you control and destroy it. And if you negate their trap, they won't be able to pop your monster because they technically did not hit the field just yet. So if they are not on the field per se, therefore, if they get their activation negated, they aren't actually gonna go banishing themselves. They would just instead go back to the graveyard because they never hit the field. So they're not going from field. They're not leaving the field anymore. They're just leaving from the activation negation, wherever that limbo may be. So yeah, that one's kind of a harder to explain. It's just a harder pill to swallow. I know like YCS Utrecht, they ruled it that it would get banished. And I'm not sure if all the judges follow that, but I'm guessing the logic behind that was that the card does technically the card does remember that it was set from the graveyard by its own effect, and based off of that, it still remembers it while it was face down. When it activated, and even if it gets negated, it still remembers that particular part and it gets banished. I don't know if that's the proper logic, but that would be a particular line of thought that could happen. Anyways, just ask your head judge whenever something like this occurs. But in my book, it can't really do that because it kind of goes against, what if you solemn like a True Draco Heritage or whatever, something along those lines that actually trigger in the graveyard? Will they be able to activate? Are they considered on the field? If we want to be consistent, I would say it doesn't get banished. It's not on the field, so it will go back to the graveyard for Salamangreat Roar and Lost Wind. And we're gonna finish it off with the TCG Canada, US, and I don't think Mexico even follows this particular ruling. I know South America does not follow this, Latin America does not follow this particular ruling, and it is Thousand Eyes Restrict. Seems like TCG NA has another thing going for them, which is, especially if you're going to be playing a tier 3 event, it's likely going to be ruled like this before consistency of all the events. It's just something that might just happen. But Thousand Eyes Restrict, what is the ruling? So if I attempt to activate Thousand Eyes Restrict effect targeting my opponent's monster, my opponent chains Ghost Ogre against me, and my Thousand Eyes Restrict Chainlink 2 gets destroyed by Ghost Ogre, and then Chainlink 1, does the monster get sent to the graveyard or not? If you're in Canada or US, it's likely that it won't get sent to the graveyard. That's how it's been for some time now. It is different from everywhere else in the world. Everywhere else in the world, the Thousand Eyes Restrict effect will attempt to resolve as much as possible. Therefore, the monster must attempt to be equipped. And once it attempts to be equipped, it will be sent to the graveyard because there is no longer a valid equipped target available for that monster. And that's why it's a little confusing. I don't think every place rules it like that. So what I would recommend for you guys is ask your head judge at the event, if you're at locals, ask your local judge or whatever, about how they are ruling this one, especially if you're going to be playing Instant Fusion and using Thousand Eyes Restrict as a spot remover of some sort. Alright, so yeah, that's very important. That is all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button to show your appreciation. If you guys want to help this channel grow or want to stay up to date with MST.TV, well, hit the subscribe button and ding the notification bell to pay respects to whatever banned monster of your choice that's still in the Shadow Realm. And did you know, if you guys don't hit the subscribe button, your next opponent is going to be main decking Dark Ruler No More after you build your board. And guess what? They're going to OTK you right through it. Yeah, you don't want that to happen. You know, weigh your option. One little click versus getting OTK'd through a Dark Ruler No More. And I'll see you guys in the next one.